In behalf of Mayor Scott Galvin, Larry Giuseppe, the Veteran Services Officer of the City of Woburn, all of our elected officials that are here today from the state and local level. In behalf of the United Veterans Council and as Commander, George Poole, it's my pleasure to honor you and welcome you here as we remember Memorial Day today. And this is what today is all about remembering, not celebrating. The other holidays we celebrate, but Memorial Day we pause to remember. We're now going to have the posting of the colors, which we've already had, and we're going to have the raising of the flag of our country, accompanied by the Police Honor Guard. We have Tom Quigley from the VFW, Paul Dory, American Legion, David Epps, DAV. Forward march. You saw the flag go up to full staff and came down to half staff. Since I've been a child, I can remember that's an honor. The American flag always flies at half staff on Memorial Day until noontime. At noontime, it'll go back up to full staff to honor those that gave their lives for our country. This is the time that everybody can participate in today's program. So this time, I'd please ask you to please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guards, parade rest. Well, as I mentioned earlier, today is Memorial Day. This is the day that we remember. We don't remember all us veterans here. If you took a poll of all the veterans, you'd find that we've been stationed in not only the United States, but many stations around the world. Today we stop to pause to remember the Donald Kerrigans, the Ned O'Briens, and Joe Drew, and John Ferrullo. Those are great American heroes. They weren't great athletes, they weren't movie stars, they didn't make millions of dollars. They were very brave Americans, and all that gave their lives in defense of our country. And that's what today is all about. And I only wish that corporate America would realize and pause and close the stores at least till noontime, but unfortunately they don't do that. That's a freedom that we gave them, and they do exercise that freedom. We'll now have an opening prayer by Deacon Phil Hardcastle. Deacon.
This past week, some of us gathered at the Woodbrook Cemetery for a funeral service for a decorated Marine who served in Vietnam. And I couldn't help, being there and honoring his service, about thinking of a poem that really has a lot to say about life and death. So I'd like to share that with you this morning. It's called The Rose Beyond the Wall. Ere shady wall a rose once grew, budded and blossomed in God's free light, watered and fed by morning dew, shedding its sweetness day and night. As it grew and blossomed fair and tall, slowly rising to loftier height, it came to a crevice in the wall, through which there shone a beam of light. Onward it crept with added strength, with never thought of fear or pride. It followed the light through the crevice's length and unfolded itself on the other side. The light, the dew, the broadening view were found the same as they were before, and it lost itself in beauties new, breathing its fragrance more and more. Shall claim of death cause us to grieve and make our courage faint and fall? Nay, let us faith and hope receive. The rose still grows beyond the wall, scattering fragrance far and wide, just as it did in days of yore, just as it did on the other side, just as it will forevermore.
Thank you, Deacon Phil. Now we're going to have a selection by the Woburn City Band, the Armed Forces Medley. But before that starts, we have a person that plays a big role in our program. It's Joanne Campbell. She has a family commitment today and regretfully is not able to be here today, but she did inform me that she plans to be back on Veterans Day. And now we'll have the Armed Forces Medley by the Woburn City Band. just like to mention that this is the 100th anniversary of the forming of the American Legion. And we have a very active post here in Woburn, the George A. Campbell Post, number 101. So it was formed right after the ending of World War I. Now I'm going to have reading of the Governor's Proclamation. It's Project 351. And Ambassador Colleen Curran is going to read it, and she's going to explain a little bit about Project 351. Colleen's a student at Woburn High School. Colleen?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Colleen Curran, an 8th grade Project 351 ambassador from Woburn. Project 351 is a service group that unites 351 8th graders from all cities and towns in Massachusetts. And it is my great privilege to represent Governor Baker by sharing his official Memorial Day proclamation. Whereas while the nation is still recovering from the horrors of civil war, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor those Union and Confederate soldiers who had given their lives, celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas, after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service of their country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last Monday in May is when people remember and honor the memory of all men and women who fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. And whereas, throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts citizens have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life. And whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to country is an inspiration to all Americans, and whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who gave their lives so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 27, 2019 to be Memorial Day, and urge all the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston, this first day of May in the year 2019, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 242nd. By His Excellency, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth, Karen E. Polito, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, and William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you.
That's a pretty good job for an 8th grader. Did you do a great job? You see around the common and in the square all these pictures of our fallen heroes from Woburn. These are all service members that gave their lives for our country from Woburn. There were so many, we couldn't put them all up on Veterans Day last year. We put half up, and the other half are up right now. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce our great Woburn historian, Kathy Lucero, to explain about the posters. Kathy?
I'm a little short. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out on this beautiful Memorial Day. On behalf of the Woburn Historical Society, I want to thank Mayor Galvin for supporting us on the special banner project, and to John Lundeen and Billy Ray, my DPW guys. We had a great time hanging up all the banners. They did a great job, and Isabel Dwyer from the Historical Society, and putting them all on for display for you. Hopefully, will stay up for the summer. It is important that we pay tribute to Woburn's fallen heroes. These banners remind us that we will always keep them in our hearts and in our minds, along with every American soldier who gave his life or her life for our country. This is a day of remembrance, not just the start of summer or a part of a 3-day weekend, holiday weekend, but a day to reflect and honor these men and women who died while serving in the United States military. The holiday was originally known as Decoration Day, starting after the Civil War, when women would go to Gettysburg and other battle sites and decorate the graves of Union and Confederate soldiers with flowers, wreaths, and flags. Approximately 620,000 soldiers from both sides would die in the Civil War. The name would change to Memorial Day in 1868 and become an official federal holiday in 1971. There have been 296 Woburn casualties who sacrificed their lives to protect our freedom from 1642 to Iraq. This Memorial Day, we present 25 new banners that appear around the common area. They show the faces of 50 Woburn casualties who served in the Civil War, World War I and World War II. Last November, we honored 64 men who lost their lives during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and Iraq. They are also featured in this Memorial Day. Every banner tells you briefly who these men were and how they died for our country. Some would die of sickness while serving held at a Civil War prisoner of war camp in the South, or die in the fierce battles in the South Pacific, Europe, North Africa, or by an unfortunate fatal accident during World War II. Henry Vineland would be one of these. He would serve in the Navy during the Civil War, only to come home to Woburn and decide to re-enlist. He didn't like the tannery work. But this time, he would join the U.S. Cavalry. He would die with General Custer at the famous Battle of Little Bighorn, where he is buried. Then there is Seaman Edward J. Houghton, who was born in Alabama but lived in Woburn. He received the Medal of Honor for extraordinary heroism in action while serving on board the U.S. picket boat number 1 against the Confederate ram Albemarle. On this Memorial Day, take a moment to walk among the Woburn's fallen heroes and to quote General George Patton, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." Thank you. It is my pleasure now to read the names of the men who are on the 50 men who are on the latest banners that appear. Civil War, Private Michael Avery, Private Jonas Bacon, Private John Brannigan, Private Francis M. Bryant, Major Alicia Burbank, Private Moses F. Butler, Private Peter Doherty, Private Michael Finn, Seaman Edward J. Houghton, Private Thomas Marin, Private Miles Rowland, Private George A. Sprague, Corporal Francis W. Thompson, and his father, Captain Samuel I. Thompson, Private Lewis M. Walker, and Private Henry Wyman. World War I, CPO Peter W. O'Brien. World War II, Sergeant Leo L. Canning, Sergeant Armand J. Cormier, Private Robert Coro, Staff Sergeant John F. Daberin, Sergeant Adam F. T. Diamond, Jr., Private Daniel J. DeCasio, Private George L. Doucette, Private Bernard A. Fitzsimmons, Corporal Joseph A. Foley, Seaman First Class Herbert J. Goodwin, Technical Sergeant Joseph F. Griffin, Jr., Tech Sergeant Paul R. Horton, Ensign Henry G. Ingersoll, Jr., Seaman Second Class Charles H. Keegan, Jr., PFC Dominic J. Lancelot, Sergeant Francis X. McDonald, Corporal Andrew C. Malatesta, Corporal W. Marchant, Jr., Private Albert E. Marshall, Jr., Corporal Christy G. Mentis, Pharmacist Mate Second Class Charles Miller, Jr., Technical Sergeant Fred W. Murphy, HA First Class William C. Murphy, Seaman First Class Norman Nix, Corporal George T. Perros, Corporal Franklin D. Selden, Private Raymond J. Simeone, Private Earl E. Stokes, PFC Frank S. Sutton, AS Elect John S. Suzesco, Staff Sergeant Daniel N. Taus, Private George B. Turner, and Private Lawrence G. White. May they always be remembered by Woburn residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, for that great job. We'll now have a selection by the Woburn Memorial High School Band. Thank you. I want to take this moment to recognize the seniors in the Woburn High School Memorial Band. This is their next to the last official function. They will play next Sunday at the graduation, and we want to thank them for the years of participating not only Memorial Day but Veterans Day, and we want to wish them well as they go off to college or whatever profession they decide to choose. Thank you to all the seniors. But now, I want to recognize, I see some World War II veterans here today. I see Mike and Mrs. McGann over here, Al Audette. Any other World War II veterans here today? Raise your hand. I'm sorry, I can't see who you are, but thank you so much. Part of the greatest generation. This time it gives me great pleasure to introduce the mayor of our city, Mayor Scott Galvin, to say a few words on Memorial Day. Mayor Galvin.
Thank you, George. Today we come, as George says, to mourn the veterans and servicemen who came before us. Their families sacrificed their lives, gave the ultimate sacrifice. So we're able to do the things we do as we come here today and gather and recognize their efforts, the supreme efforts for all of us. And without them, and without our current servicemen, we wouldn't be able to do the things we do that we all take for granted on a daily basis. But thank you to them. We continue to mourn our veterans ahead of us. And as Kathy said, we have such a rich history of servicemen who gave their lives to our country. And you look around and you see the banners that, you know, as mayor, I was so proud to support. The city council supported Kathy in her efforts. You look around and you see these. You look at them and take them in, because these are our forefathers walked among us. It made the ultimate sacrifice with their families. So Woburn will be a greater place. The country would be a greater place. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't take a minute to recognize the efforts of the DPW, the Parks Department, and again, Woburn Historical Society, for looking around. You look around at this common, how beautiful it is. The flowers from the Woburn Golf and Ski Authority, the beautiful banners and the lights you see at night. If you happen to have the chance to come out at night, take a look at City Hall, the beautiful colors that it's lit up with, and around the common. It's a tribute to all those who serve this country. So again, thank you. Thank you to our veterans who are here today, and thank you to all those who gave their lives for our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Galvin. We had one little extra part of the program today. We read at Woodbrook Cemetery, we're going to read Logan's Order. That was written by John Logan. And he was the commander-in-chief of the GAR, which was known as the Grand Army of the Republic. That was a veterans organization that was formed by the federal troops at the end of the Civil War. But we're going to read it again this morning. And I have a senior from Woburn High School, Josie Hagokin, who's going to come up and read General Logan's order. And this is how Memorial Day formed. Listen to the words, how they are still in effect today.
The 30th day of May, 1868, was designated of the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet, churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form of ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services, testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kinds of fraternal feelings which have bonded together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines, unite to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their breasts as barricade between our country and its foes? Their soldier lives were the reveal of freedom to a race of chains, and their deaths the tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All the concentrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their admiral and security, but in fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no warrant foot tread rudely on such hollow graves. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no vengeance of time testify to the presence or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of our free and undivided republic. If others' eyes grow dull, others' hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, our shall keep in well as long as the light and warmth of life remains to us. Let us then, at the time appoint, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds about them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us rise above them the dear old flag they saved in his honor. Let us in the solemn presence renew our pledges to aid and assist those who have left among us a sacred change upon a nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan. It is in the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that it will keep up from year to year, while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to lead its friendly aid in bringing the notice of comrades in other parts of the country in time of stimulus compliance wherewith. Department of Commanders will use efforts to make this order effective. By order of John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief, and N.P. Chipman.
Thank you, Josie. What Josie just read was written in 1868, and part of it, at the end of it says, continue to celebrate, continue to remember Memorial Day, and that's what we're doing today. I just want to say a thanks to Woburn Little League. Last Saturday, they have a tournament every Memorial Day weekend, and they paused Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock to honor a fallen Woburn hero. They did honor Donald Kerrigan, who was killed in action in Korea, and they did pause and with youth from other towns there. So we want to thank Woburn Little League for remembering Memorial Day. Also, the schools here in Woburn that did assemblies. I had the the pleasure of being at two schools. I went to the Kennedy, and I also went to the Shamrock School, and the kids do a great job, and it's really an honor and pleasure to go. And we're always looking for veterans that would like to speak at school assemblies. That helps us out. Also, I want to thank Donna Cash, and I know she's here today, for doing a great job. She's Larry's assistant. Thank you, Donna, for all you do. And speaking of Larry Giuseppe, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Veteran Services Officer of our city, Larry Giuseppe, for a very special presentation. Larry.
Mike McCann, would you please help us? I've invited Mike McCann up. Mike is a World War II veteran. He's also a recipient of the Purple Heart. Dave F., Vietnam veteran, recipient of the Purple Heart. McKeon. I'm very proud and honored today, and I want to thank a young gentleman who's here with us today, Kevin Mahoney, who brought to my attention that his two family members of his both received Purple Hearts, but they were never received by the family. So we're here today to honor the Christie brothers, and I will read you their Purple Heart presentations, and we present Purple Hearts to family members. So if the family members that are here from the Christie family would mind coming up, would appreciate it. The honor reads, the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America has awarded the Purple Heart, established by General George Washington at Newburgh, New York, on August 7, 1782, to Private David B. Christie, Company G, 101st Infantry, 26th Division, for wounds received in action, resulting in his death on July 23rd, 1918 in France. David Christie, Purple Heart. United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America has awarded the Purple Heart, established by General George Washington at Newburgh, New York, August 7th, 1782, to Private Ralph Christie, Company G, 101st Infantry, 26th Division. You will notice that the brothers served together in Company G. This medal awarded the Purple Heart for wounds received in combat on 23 July 1918 in France. You will also notice the brothers were wounded the same day. And we wish to give a Purple Heart to the family of Private Ralph Christie. The family's been waiting since 1918 to receive these medals. And again, I want to thank Kevin Mahoney for putting this together. We appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you.
Just prior to reading the honor roll, I'd just like to mention that 2 weeks ago today, I was in Columbus, Georgia, at a veterans reunion. Columbus, Georgia is adjacent to Fort Bennings. And one of the days we did go on to Fort Benning to see how the Army trains in this modern day, how the modern day Army trains. And we also visited the Army Infantry Museum, a beautiful facility right outside the gate of Fort Benning. And there they have a full replica of the Vietnam Wall. And on that wall are our 13 heroes from Woburn who were killed in Vietnam. They gave their life there. They also have a wall with the names of up to 7,000 troops, military service personnel that were killed in action in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I did get to see Keith Callahan's name on that memorial. If you're ever down that way, Columbus, Georgia is a great city to visit. I experienced the Southern hospitality with everybody being friendly. I didn't hear a car horn blow the whole week, so it was a very pleasant experience. And when you're down in the Deep South, the Civil War is very tangible to read all the monuments that they have about the Civil War. We'll now have the reading of the honor roll of deceased veterans. Colors, present arms. Clara T. Sullen, World War II. Gwen A. Roberts Hardy, World War II. Elizabeth Betty Hughes Conti, Vietnam. Michael Vetri, Korean. William C. McElhenney, Korean. Lawrence J. Carpenter Jr., Vietnam. Walter A. O'Burl, World War II. Fred L. Lenardi, Korean. Robert J. Daly, Sr., Korean. Kenneth Paul Brophy, Vietnam. Raymond W. Thompson, World War II. Bradley J. Gillis, Korean. Frank Anthony Santo, Korean. Joseph M. Casado, Korean. Richard Charles Fucarillo, Korean. Augustine Anthony Costanzo, World War II. Frederick Wendell Booth, World War II. John W. Thoreau, Korean. John F. O'Doherty Sr., World War II and Korean. David Allen Taylor, World War II. Frederick A. Sands, Vietnam. Robert Leo Callahan, World War II and Korean. Joseph Babagalo, World War II. Charles G. Jerry Lonis, World War II. William P. O'Connell, World War II. Robert P. Bob Langell, World War II. Peter Joseph D'Alessio, Korean. John F. Mac McElroy, Vietnam. Joseph Frederick Noonan, Korean. John Joseph Brown, Korean. Frederick Tom Fitzgerald, Vietnam. Kenneth Albert Wing, Korean. James Michael Murphy, Vietnam. Pasquale Mucci, World War II. American Legion Commander Thaddeus M. Baxter Jr., Gulf War. John J. Campbell, Korean. George A. Getty Jr., Vietnam. Michael G. Harrington, Vietnam. Reverend Patrick J. Kelly, Vietnam. Peter J. Holleran, Vietnam. Retired Woburn Police Department Officer Richard R. Marcinanti, Korean. Daniel L. Dooley, Korean. Edward J. Neergard, World War II. Robert P. Bob Langell, World War II. David A. Taylor, World War II. Richard F. Holland Sr., World War II. Robert C. Barry, peacetime. G. Russell Farrell, Vietnam. John F. Butts, World War II. Emilio DiMambro, Korean. Donald Francis Zanka, Korean. David E. Pelletier, Korean. Howard M. Critchett Jr., Korean. Michael A. Peretti, Korean. Romano Pieri, Korean. John W. O'Brien, Korean. Robert W. Medeiros, Vietnam. Thomas Joseph Dunnigan, Vietnam. Charles Michael McMaster, Vietnam. William F. Smith, World War II. Pasquale J. Nicotera, World War II. George S. Pappas, World War II. Alfred C. Fowle, World War II. Richard F. Abreu, Vietnam. Thomas D. Rooney, peacetime. Robert W. Perry, World War II. Robert F. Conley, Korean. Joseph M. McGuire, World War II. Kenneth M. Plant, Vietnam. Daniel V. Kelly, Gulf War. Vito M. Delalia, Korean. Henry A. Martin Jr., World War II. Joseph J. Miliano, World War II. Henry F. Red Rosander, Korean. Leo J. Latendry, World War II. Michael J. Palumbo Sr., Korean. Michael Cardillo, World War II. Howard R. Johnson, World War II. Leo J. Hawkins, Korean. John William Colley, Korean. Anthony J. Muzzy Rosa, Vietnam. Joseph J. McGuire, World War II. Donald Sawitsky, Vietnam. Donald E. Drown, Korean. Reginald Andre Wright, Vietnam. Joseph Francis McDonald, World War II. Robert W. Carlson Jr., Vietnam. Miles Connor, peacetime. Retired Woburn firefighter Robert Winger Dillon, Vietnam. And Michael Robert Tremonti, Korean. And may they all rest in peace. I just read the names of 90 Woburn residents that were veterans that passed away just since last Veterans Day. It's incredible how the list, I'll start the list and I'll start a new list tomorrow, and all of a sudden there'll be 5 or 6 names on it, and a month there'll be 30 names on it. It just, every year, it blows my mind that I end up reading so many names on these services. I just want to mention one thing, that 10 days from today is June 6th. It's the 75th anniversary of the invasion of Normandy, the start to the end of World War II. And so many great heroes gave their lives, particularly on that day. And I have, I'm copying this information from my most recent copy of the American Legion magazine. I just want to read a few facts. 156,000 troops from the United States, the UK, Canada, French, Norway, and other nations went to shore. Along the 50-mile stretch of all the beaches, there were 2,400 American casualties. In the landing, 6,000 ships and landing craft were involved. 50,000 vehicles went to shore. 11,000 planes, 12,004 total killed in action. The United States alone had 8,230 killed in action. And that's your example of great American heroes. When those troops got off the boat, when you saw General Eisenhower talking to the members of the 101st Airborne with their face in dark and where they were going to jump in behind enemy lines, they knew that some of them wouldn't make it. As the troops went to shore, in waist-deep water, some of them, after so many troops had gone to shore, the English Channel was red from blood of those heroes that never made it to shore. That's what today is all about. And I'm so happy that all of you are here today to remember that and to remember those that gave their lives for our country. We're now going to have benediction from Deacon Phil Hardcastle. Deacon Phil.
God our Father, we ask you this Memorial Day to continue to hold close to your heart in the kingdom that is heaven all those who have given their lives for the defense of freedom, from the founding of our great country until now. We also ask you to remember all veterans of the armed forces who have served and who continue to serve this day around the world. Bless them always and bless their families who anxiously await their return. We ask this, Father, of you. Amen.
Just prior to the closing with the taps and the playing of the national anthem combined by the Woburn City Band and the Woburn Memorial High School Band, we have a very special guest with here today that's going to sing. And we have Mackenzie Clement from Woburn High School, who's going to sing the national anthem here today, accompanied by both bands. Mackenzie?
The dawn is moving by. What so proudly we had the twilight's last gleam, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous by, o'er the
Thank you, Mackenzie. You know, that was not easy. She had no time to rehearse that prior to those. So that was the first time that she sang with the both bands. That was very difficult, and she did a great job, didn't she? So we're about to wrap up Memorial Day remembrance here on the Common. We are going to form up right out on the street. I used to say right by Moore Parkers, but sadly I can't say that anymore. It's gone. But we're going to march up to Woodbrook Cemetery and have a service up there, and we'll disband shortly, and we'll go over to East Woburn. If you can join us along the way, we'd love to have you. Once again, thank you all so much for being here today to remember Memorial Day. It's a great feeling here in Woburn when I see so many folks come out. It'd be nice if some more would come, but I understand it's the freedoms that they have. Once again, thank you all for being here. Have a great summer. Hope to see you on Veterans Day. Let's hope we have this good weather on Veterans Day as we're having today. And once again, thank you all, and God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.